James? James. We've got a lot to unpack here, okay? Emotions are high. There's a few things to unpack. Let's talk about it. Okay, so 2 hours ago, right? Because I'm just now getting the news. Recently appointed DC Studios co-head James Gunn has confirmed that a new Superman film is currently in the works as part of the revamped DC universe. The feature will take place during an earlier part of the Man of Steel's life, and as such will not star Henry Cavill in a lead role, which means Henry Cavill is officially out. I was kind of hoping that the tweet that James Gunn put out a few weeks ago about Kingdom Come Superman was going to involve Henry Cavill playing that older version of Superman. That is not the case. It looks as though DC basically wants to go with a young core and a young roster. This is adding on top of the fact that there seems to be some type of talk or discussion between James Gunn, Peter Safran, and Matt Reeves about making Matt Reeves' Batman the Batman of this new universe that they're basically creating. It looks as though James Gunn wants to consolidate everything. No longer 3 different Batmen in 3 separate universes and multiple different movies over here that don't connect. No, they want to bring every single thing underneath the same tent. It's going to be interesting going forward. That's what I'm going to say. It's going to be interesting going forward. Where was I? Fellow DC Studios co-head Peter Safran and I, this is James Gunn talking, have a DC slate movie ready to go. Which, like I said, this week they had met with the head of DC Studios, the guy who basically runs DC the guy who's now taken control of WB and made it WB Discovery. They went to him on Monday with basically what they want to create going forward for the DC universe and the DC brand. And it looks as though James Gunn basically made the big decision that the people who used to run WB never wanted to make, which is he is snipping that cord. He is calling it a day. The Snyderverse experiment was an interesting experiment, but it's time to let it go. We're moving into something new. It didn't work. It's going to remain incomplete forever, but I'm excited for a new Superman movie with a Superman that's young, that's at the beginning of his career, interacting with hopefully a Batman who's also young and at the beginning of his career. Among those on the slate is Superman. The initial stages, our story will be focusing on an earlier part of Superman's life, so the character will not be played by Henry Cavill. That said, Gunn did not rule out Cavill potentially returning to DC down the road. We just had a great meeting with Henry and we're big fans, and we talked about a number of exciting possibilities to work together in the future. Like I said, it looks as though we may get that Kingdom Come movie with Henry Cavill's Superman down the line. Like, let's say in like 2 years, it may be announced that Henry might be coming back to play Superman in Kingdom Come. But for right now, in building the DC universe and getting everything started and getting the reboot started, everybody's got to go. Gal Gadot's out, Ben Affleck's out, Henry Cavill's out, everybody's out. We're starting from ground zero. We are starting fresh with everything, which means the next person that I'm expecting to leave better be Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller has to go out the door as well, because everyone else, for the most part, has been absolutely stellar at doing their jobs. Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Henry Cavill, Ray Fisher, everyone, except for Ezra Miller. Like, it's time for a new Flash. When he runs back from the past to the future, he better transmogrify himself into Grant Gustin. Where was I? Completely messed up where I was. Oh, it's basically the tweets that he essentially put out. I'll link the tweets in the video so that you guys can read them. They sat down and they talked to Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill did also go on his Twitter his Instagram to basically put out a message. I have just had a meeting with James Gunn and Peter Safran. It's sad news, everyone. I will, after all, not be returning as Superman after being told by the studios to announce my return back in October prior to their hire. This news isn't the easiest, but that's life. The changing of the guard is something that happens. I respect that. James appeared to have a universe to build. I wish them and all involved with the universe the best of luck and the happiest of fortunes. For those that have been on my side through the years, we can mourn for a bit and then we can must remember Superman is still around. Everything he stands for still exists. The examples he sets for us are still there. My turn to wear the cape has passed, but what Superman stands for never will. It's been a fun ride with you all, onwards and upwards. So that's a gracious bow out. Like I said, it's probably not the end of Henry Cavill ever playing Superman, because James Gunn has, like I said, the reason why in my last video I was saying that I don't think they're going to get rid of Henry Cavill was because it seems as though Henry Cavill did have those assurances. He got those assurances that he was going to come back as essentially Superman for the DC universe. And it also seems as though The Rock may be out as well. And I think that's something that's going to be coming next. Which this entire reset is also a low-key reset of the Shazam movies. And because it's a reset of the Shazam movies, The Rock is going to be out as Black Adam. I don't see The Rock continuing on in the DCU, like in any way, shape, or form. Black Adam did not make the waves that I feel that he thought it was going to make. It also didn't make as much money as I think anyone thought it was going to make. I think it only ended up at like 300 million or maybe like 400 million on top of a budget that's probably like a little bit over half that. So we'll see. But I don't think The Rock is going to be sticking around for James Gunn's new DCEU, because James Gunn has no interest whatsoever in building the DCEU around Black Adam. It seems as though James Gunn is basically going to do what Zack Snyder should have done when he was building his universe. He's going to build the entire universe around a young Superman telling inspirational stories the way in which we kind of hoped that Superman stories would be told, without them being like exceedingly dark. But that's it for the most part. That's like the major development. Now, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It's a good thing. The DC universe has been fucked for quite some time. Ever since Zack Snyder released Batman v Superman, and then him having to bow out during Justice League, and then all the things we're hearing about going on behind the scenes during Justice League, and then him coming back and doing the Snyder Cut, which was way better than the version that the studio gave us. The Snyderverse has been just marred. It's been marred in letdowns, and it's been marred in controversy. And it seemed as though there were two camps inside of WB because the leadership was weak. And I've been saying Walter Hamada was weak leadership since forever. But the weak leadership inside of DC basically created two camps. You had the camps that wanted to continue the Snyderverse, then you had the other camp that essentially wanted to dump the Snyderverse, reboot everything, start fresh. And for the most part, the Snyderverse camp was winning, where a lot of these projects that are still coming out, in some way, shape, or form, were either tied to or loosely tied to what Zack had essentially created. The Aquaman movie was supposed to be tied to Zack's version of Justice League, and then its connections to that were basically whittled away to the point where it was just a one-off reference where it's like, oh yeah, you fought Steppenwolf, and then it was never referenced in any way, shape, or form ever again. Aquaman's off doing his own thing. I really feel as though the one who's going to come out of this as a winner might end up being Jason Momoa, where he basically is going to walk away with two really solid DC movies that are going to make bank. The first Aquaman movie did over $1 billion. I have no doubt the second one's also going to do over $1 billion. Now, he's also going to leave out marred with controversy, not because of anything that he did, but because of the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation. Gal Gadot will never play Wonder Woman ever again. That's out the water. I said it before and I'll say it again. Wonder Woman 1984 killed any hype or momentum Gal Gadot's character had as Wonder Woman, which I feel as though Patty Jenkins was a horrible choice to direct a Wonder Woman film, because we saw that once she separated Zack's style and then went with her style fell flat. Her version of storytelling was bad. Like, it just completely collapsed in on itself without having someone charting the course for what direction the story should take. So, and the acting in Wonder Woman 1984 is absolutely fucking atrocious. Once that movie came out, I thought, even though she's signed to 3 movies, she's never going to get to make that third movie because of how bad this movie is. Ben Affleck never got a fair shake in any way, shape, or form. We never received his Batman movie, which was supposed to be about Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. And I really feel as though creating a Ben Affleck Batman movie around The Dark Knight Returns with Henry Cavill Superman would have been a far better direction to go in than Batman v Superman. We didn't need Doomsday or fake Doomsday. We didn't need any of that. What we needed was a philosophical debate between two characters. The philosophical debate between a alien that is full of hope and American values versus someone who is full of vengeance and sees that the justice system just doesn't work. And it should have been those two ideologies clashing with one another, as they're both trying to... You could even make Lex Luthor the main villain, but they're both trying to basically eliminate a villain. Or you can even make it so that Batman's basically the villain of the movie, where his direction is that Superman is a threat. He wants to take him down, and he's making moves to basically bring Superman down. But it fails. He ends up realizing that he's a gigantic tool, and then him and Superman work together to take down like the actual threat being Lex Luthor, something along those lines. But Batman v Superman just didn't work. It had way too many story points that didn't really mesh well together, and as a result kind of diluted the entire film. You know how I feel about Joss Whedon's Justice League? It's absolute fucking garbage. The Snyder Cut is way better. If Joss Whedon's Justice League is a D-, the Snyder Cut is a B-. The most aggravating thing from that is the fact that we'll never get to see the completion of that story. We won't even get to see the completion of that story in, let's say, comic book form, and that's disappointing. But for the most part, I'm absolutely excited. New Superman movie, new Flash, new Wonder Woman, new Aquaman, Jason Momoa as Lobo. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with rebooting the universe, because for the most part, a lot of DC fans have been calling for a reboot to the universe since Zack Snyder's Justice League ended. We knew that Zack was never going to come back, but a reboot of the characters to give us more comic book accurate characters telling comic book accurate stories that are actually fun and uplifting and fit with the character that they're being structured around. But only time will tell. I'm sorry to see Henry Cavill leave. I'm also extremely happy for the future. I know somebody else who on TikTok is going to be extremely happy that Henry Cavill is no longer playing Superman, because she does not like him as Superman. But we'll see where all this goes. It feels as though every single week James Gunn is letting us know exactly what's going on and exactly what he's building towards, and I'm 100% there for it. But yeah, let me know how you guys feel down in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.